Objection! Hello everybody, Zachman18 here. We are back with Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. Our 49th Let's Play. I know I said I was going to make a part on Saturday and Sunday, but I was working on some other stuff this weekend, so I didn't get around to that. So, starting today, from Monday through Thursday, you guys will see a new part of Phoenix Wright. Hopefully we'll be able to finish this third case within these 4 days. So, without further ado, let's head to our final day in court. We're probably going to get it to be continued since it is the final day of court, and they always like to keep us suspenseful for this Let's Play. So, let's go. Good morning, Mr. Wright.
Good morning, Maggie.
So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and then ended on a giant mystery. That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet.
Are you okay, Nick?
Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that. I had a little flash of doubt in your eyes. No, that wasn't doubt. That was, determination. Why don't I believe you?
It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get going to the defendant's seat.
Roger, don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Hey, pal! Hey, Detective Gumshoe.
Quit stressing Maggie out, she doesn't need that.
How did you know she was stressed? She was stressed.
I was watching through the doorway.
Oh.
Looked like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help.
Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too?
Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing.
Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles.
This is the small bottle that turned up in Trace Vienne's kitchen a couple of days ago.
That's right. I remember that.
Wow, look at all these little bottles.
Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. He's got so many, they're overflowing onto the floor.
Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others.
Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either.
And it doesn't smell.
We finally got the analysis results back from the lab.
So, what is it? Is it the poison?
I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication.
Medication?
Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently.
For ears? You mean...
Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum.
What was Glenn Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that?
Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour and they might have gotten something on the prints, but...
That's going to weaken its impact as a piece of evidence.
Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today, got it?
Today's trial. I'm going to expose that guy for what he's done, or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Alright, here we go. I want to make sure I have this zoomed in good enough. There we go. Here we go. Let's do this.
Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird.
The defense is ready, Your Honor. And Mr. Godot. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor.
Very good, then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Cudo. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems.
The mark on the rim of the cup shows that the victim drank from it with his right hand, but according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand.
Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear.
It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick?
Oh boy. Ha. Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it.
You lost me already, Mr. Godot.
Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules.
Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions?
You know the answers to these riddles.
You know the answers to these riddles?
The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here, he was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it.
Very well, let the first witness take the stand.
Oh boy.
And you are?
Oh, bonjour everyone, I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and chief of La Trespien restaurant. Enchanté!
Forgive me for asking, witness, but are you a woman?
Oh la la, monsieur! As you can see, I am Le Martin Perky gentleman, young.
On
the day of the incident, you were in Trace Vienne's kitchen. Isn't that right? With you, monsieur? Everything feels right. Huh. Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy?
Very well. Your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Trace Bien.
Oi, volunteers! Volunteers. Gosh, I don't even know the accent. Alright, let's pay close attention to this. When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decos that day, like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Oi, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. The couple of earpiece and the glasses. It would have everything in reverse, none? What's this about glasses? Mirror? Hold on. He's not wearing glasses. Oh, that might be it. Oi, unglared mirror! The most enormous mirror! There's a mirror, huh? And suddenly the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it.
That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front.
What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
So that seems. I think that's what we got to present it on, because he's not wearing. He doesn't wear glasses. There was a cup and there was an earpiece, but there wasn't glasses. So if that's not it, I mean, we still got plenty of life left. So why not? Let's try it out. Yeah, that's nothing but a lie, Your Honor. Objection! The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we?
The boy was wearing the earpiece in the same shade as the green lens of his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt.
So to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw that as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactamente. You see, Monsieur, now that you think about it, it's not so hard, none. Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? What? I thought that was because of his glasses.
Order. Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in the mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye.
How bitter. Trite, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks.
How he thinks?
You remember this, I presume. The I broke the vase sorry apology Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony? Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg?
Clearly, it's the victim's eyepiece.
And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. What? HMD? Oh my god. I thought it was because of the glass. You said glasses, and I thought he doesn't wear glasses. I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear. Ha. Well, trite. Ugh. That's the worst but best impression of Kudo ever.
Well, I really thought he was old seedy for a minute there. Godot's good.
Enough. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash on much of his testimony.
Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash.
A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears. Oi, I can explain. Please, if you will look at the plans of the restaurant. The mirror. Alright, here we go. Okay. Hello, is everyone sitting comfortably? Comfortably? The mirror was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of the victim. That was the seat at the table next to the victim. That's where the old man was sitting. I just want to look over the evidence here really quickly. wait a second. After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. He said that that was the seat at the table next to the victims.
From the table next to the victim, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror.
What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing all the men like this.
Don't worry about it.
We can keep up except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again. Oh, I hate that guy.
You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that?
So if he was at that table and he were to look at the mirror, it would reflect off of the victim, obviously. But he said it was in his left ear, but the way he saw it, it looks like it's in his right ear. He saw him this view. So I don't know why he would think that that was where his left ear would be. So he was lying about that. He was lying about that because you could clearly see that if you looked in the mirror, it was his right ear that you would have seen from the mirror's view if you were to see it from the mirror.
Are you quite sure about that?
Volunteers, of course.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you please.
So I'm gonna try that and see if that works. Because the way of what you viewed it, the way of what you view the victim, you would see that. You could see that it was on his right ear, the speck. Oh shoot! God dang it! I skipped over it. All right. Yeah, level. That was the old table next to the victims. That was the only one sitting. But he said that he was sitting across from the victim from this picture. Oh, and also that vase was knocked over at his table. The vase was knocked over at the old man's table. He was the one that knocked it over, but the table on the left, the vase is still standing. I thought we already had something like this before. I'm not quite sure. Objection! This piece of evidence contradicts with testimony we have heard, Your Honor.
The crime photo?
Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist.
What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright?
Should not exist? Ha! Sounds like you're describing yourself trite.
Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement.
Alright, let's see, what did he say?
What is something that should not exist in this photo?
It's gotta be the vase. That's what we thought in the first place. I think it's pretty obvious that this is what should not be in the picture.
The vase? What possible connection does that have with this witness's testimony?
Your Honor, I'm telling you that there should have been no vase on this table. Because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. Which one? This one, yeah, right here. This is where he said that he broke the vase at his seat. Oh, take that! I almost forgot what I was supposed to say. There's one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting, and yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all. Don't be an idiot, Wright. That's impossible. That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from. Exactly. So the mirror must be fake. There's only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Trace BM that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. Mon Dieu!
Objection!
Don't try to confuse the court, Wright. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase, while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene. Unfortunately, Mr. Godot, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary. In his own words, I did not touch anything else except the mirror.
Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself?
I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day.
In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear in which he couldn't hear?
Ha. You only get one shot in life. Oh, so it was in his right ear. So why was that in his right ear? There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Trite, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it.
Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick?
There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya.
What do you mean?
Remember what Maggie told us. There was another man at the victim's table, and there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kyoto's testimony. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up.
Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer.
Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kyoto's testimony is simple. The ear doctor made a mistake. So it's either Mr. Kyoto made a mistake or the victim was a phony. I'm thinking the victim was a phony because if he was, it seems kind of weird that he would be wearing the ear on the earpiece on his on the right side, where his ear is perfectly fine on his right side, but it's not on the left. So I'm gonna say he was a phony. This case is riddled with contradictions, yet there is one very simple answer that clears them all up.
And what is that?
The incident Mr. Kyoto witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events. What? Yes, the victim that Mr. Kyoto saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. So that's what we thought.
Order to the court. Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom.
Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh?
What did you say?
Trite, are you saying that what Mr. Kyoto saw was a setup? Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning, all for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kyoto. Get real, Trite. Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kyoto was most insistent about in his testimony was the serving girl brought him to Javicino when she put something in it. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well.
It's so hard to believe, but...
There was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kyoto this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee. Are you insinuating that the waitress in the old man's store was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but... It's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening.
That's right. Well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct?
Oh la la, this is most difficult for me. No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath, after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Trace BN that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened.
The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain and detail the events in the restaurant that day.
Oh, oi. Alright. The victim, Monsieur Elg, came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, Mon Elg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. So what was what did the flyer say? 1:30? What does his autopsy say? Okay, between 1:30 and 2:30, so that makes sense to me. No, there was no time for a phony to do the acting. Huh.
Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all.
J was demand pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly.
What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later.
Oi.
For now, we will hear your cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
He took that perjury charge a bit too well. But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Not finding much in that testimony. I guess we'll start pressing. Was he alone at his table as well? Mostly, I saw it from the kitchen. Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers it differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table. Unfortunately for you, Wright, yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. You know, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite. What kind of coffee has he been drinking?
It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet.
Hearing Maya say that makes her seem all wise all of a sudden. By old man, you mean Victor Cudo, correct? Oi, it comes often from my special coffee. I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience. Oh, you make me all so happy, monsieur. You're most welcome anytime. I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So old Mr. Cudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. How many minutes after? So you're saying that not much time elapsed between when the victim and Mr. Cudo arrived. Oh, yes, that is correct. But that still leaves the possibility that something happened in that gap of time. And by your recollection, how much time would you say elapsed? Let me see. Approximately 2 minutes, I would say. 2 minutes, that's all?
It seems unlikely that anything untoward could have happened in such a short time.
Rats, I knew I shouldn't have pursued this line of questioning. Alright, we'll try the other one then. Alright, what time is it? Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Cudo arrived? Oh no, I cannot remember, Monsieur.
I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir.
2:25? That's a pretty long time.
Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness?
Let's say it happened up to about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 o'clock p.m. and 2:10 p.m., non? Just after 2, huh? Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful.
Ha ha ha. I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony.
Oi, monsieur judge, everything I do it for you.
Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? Ha ha ha.
I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood.
He's even humming a song to himself.
So wait a second. It was just after 2 p.m. What time did that lottery start again? 1:30? He arrived not long after him. He came like a half hour. Wait, he came a half hour later than when he won the lottery. Objection! I'm afraid I've finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week they announced the winning number of a $500,000 lottery ticket. Is that must be the show Monero was listening to?
I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright.
I wonder. You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct? Oi, I'm sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time because I had just finished serving the lunch menu. Get to the point, Wright. You have won. That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. and it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life.
It's on the air at 1:30.
Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. None! This victim we have been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum, catching a show that was already over, there is only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Trace BN that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer, and the phony Glen Elg acting out the events for Mr. Cudo to witness.
It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain this time discrepancy?
Quite a performance, Wright. You were almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm that builds your song. What is this? Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony Elg is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain then where the real Glen Elg is? I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at that time the real Glen Elg was already dead.
That's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Thank you, Trite. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now I presume you can prove this theory of yours. Can you explain where the missing corpse went to? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glen Elg, then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim?
The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body?
Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Trite. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Evidence?
What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden?
I thought I had him with that contradiction, but he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead.
Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. L concealed?
Outside or inside? I feel like he couldn't have taken him far, so I'm gonna say inside, Trace Bien. It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Trace Bien.
Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor.
The exact location where the body was concealed inside Trace Bien is...
It's gotta be the only place that's labeled. The kitchen. The body was hidden here.
I see.
Nice supposition, but the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? Oh god, this is so long. Victim's ear medicine. Oh! The victim's ear medicine! It probably fell out of his pocket when he was in the kitchen! Take that! Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? None! None. I have never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. It's the highest quality only for me.
Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright?
Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Trace Bien. Good. But I don't ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication.
What kind of medication?
I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. O visited an otolaryngological clinic and was given medication that day. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle match the prescription that was given to Mr. Elg. Glen Elg's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen? Mon Dieu! Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back. No!
Order. This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glen Elg?
Never! I could not do such an horrible thing. No! What's going on?
Oh! Mr. Godot!
The bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now? Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear, my H-deficient friend? Chef was different burden. Please, you must hear me out. There's a trap. Listen to me. Por favor.
Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor in Spanish.
I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it? No, none. Absolutely none. Let's hear it. You've got one shot. Right, Gramps?
Witness, the court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you, as does my gavel.
Oi, just clear. What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this.
Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong.
All right. It is true. It is true. I ate the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But I did not kill him. I swear it. You must believe me. So we know that Furio was the actual killer.
You were forced by who?
I cannot say, or I will be erased. Let's try a different question then. When Mr. L died, was he really the only person at his table? There was another man. And we know who he is, so I knew it.
Maggie was telling the truth.
You may cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright.
There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. So we know that Furio is the killer, so that's what we gotta present. Because we already know who it is, so. Objection! Let's end this dance of Ring Around the Rosie, Mr. Armstrong. This is the man that you've been referring to. Ah!
Who is that? I feel like I've seen him somewhere before.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a month ago in this very courtroom? This man is Furio Tigre. He's the manager of a loan office called Tender Lender. There's no point trying to hide the truth anymore, Mr. Armstrong. I know you couldn't go against Mr. Tigre, at least not while he had this on you. It was probably his loan contract. Now, where is that? His big slip. Where is it? There it is. A $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you. Oh, it is as you say.
Mr. Armstrong!
The tiger, he told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting a victim to demand subtly he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I carried the body and unconscious Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen. I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tigre.
I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison and the lottery ticket were recovered from the defendant's apron pocket. Was that your doing as well?
No, and I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it. I was not. It is despicable.
Mr. Godot, you will summon this Furio Tigre as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow.
30 minutes.
What?
The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy in the stand. Not a minute more. How the? Don't sit back and relax yet, Wright. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial could still go either way.
Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand. Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess.
Oh man, I think we're just about to crack this case, so hopefully we'll finish up the case tomorrow. So, save our game. So this is another really easy case along with the last one. So, let's get a quick preview of what's going on tomorrow.
So we're finally going to see the tiger on the stand.
Yes, we will. So yes, we will have Furio Tigre testify and hopefully set him down as the murderer for the case of Glenn Elg at Trace BN. So this case is about to wrap up hopefully tomorrow. So stay tuned tomorrow for the final I guess session, I would say, for the third case of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. I will see you guys in my next video coming soon. Objection!